It's on?
Yeah.
Okay. This week, the title of the shiur was "Let's Make Chutzpah Great." What does it mean? Let's make Chutzpah great. Chutzpah is a negative thing, right? So we'll discuss a little bit about that. Okay. The shiur this week will be somewhat of a discussion of, I don't call it a continuation, but of Dafke, continuation of the things we discussed last week. I want to focus on the simonim of Ikus and Mashiach, the signs of the generation before Mashiach that is discussed in the end of Masechta Sotah. Now, this different opinions, if it's a Mishnah, Brayos, whatever it is, this teaching of our sages at the end of Masechta Sotah found in a few other midrashim. It's found in Sanhedrin, Masechta Sanhedrin, that's Tzadik Zayin as well. It's found in Shiur HaShirim, Medrash Rabbah and Shiur HaShirim and Perek Beis. It's found in a few places. There's a few differences between there's difference of wording, and obviously difference in wording leads to difference of interpretation between the different places. So I'll discuss a little bit, aside the simple interpretation, which is a negative connotation, and also the positive interpretation as well. So the Mishnah says, Bikras Mashiach, in the generation right before Mashiach comes, we discussed last week a little bit what Bikras means, the footsteps, the end of Golus. Chutzpah Yiska. Chutzpah will be, you could literally translate it as great or rampant. I mean, there's a lot to elaborate upon here. I don't know if it's necessary, but we're living today in what's called the I generation. Years ago, you had people that had, they rebelled against their parents, but they had ideals, whatever ism they believed in, whatever type of belief system they wanted to establish. But today it's, I want, that's all. No more explanations necessary why something is important or not important, right or wrong. It's because I want. Okay. So Chutzpah Yiske, Chutzpah will be great, will be big. The Yoiker Yamir. Yoiker Yamir has many interpretations. One of the known interpretations is that inflation will become very big. Yoiker comes from the word Yakros, expensive. Yamir, will become big inflation. Hagefen titem pirya vayayim biyoiker. Although there it says yoiker ya'avis. There's a different wording in Masechta Sanhedrin. I'm just following the reading over here. Hagefen titem pirya, the grapevine will give its fruit, but vayayim biyoiker. Nevertheless, wine will be expensive. Even though there's going to be plenty of grapes, there'll still be very expensive to buy wine. Either the different interpretations, either will be done purposely by people to keep the price high, or people will be addicted to wine. So even though there's a lot of wine, but it will be in high demand. The kingdom will be turned over to Minos. Now here I mentioned last week, Rashi interprets this to mean that the official kingdom, which is Rome, whatever, will accept Christianity as their official religion. Now, one might ask, what's the problem with that? Before Rome accepted Christianity, they worshipped other pagan, things. So the Rebbe says that we see clearly that the tzaddis that Yidden had from Christianity, the persecution, and thus that Yidden had in the name of Christianity was much worse than the persecution Yidden had in the name of other religions or idol worshippers that came before Christianity. I mentioned last week also modern day interpretation is that the government, here's the mamash the other way around, that the government will deny religion, that they're going to be opposed to religion, different shapes and forms I could interpret this. Fine. There's no rebuke. What does it mean? It means that the Mepharshim say that one person can't rebuke his fellow, because if someone rebukes his fellow says, you did this, I did this, what did you do? You did three things worse than me. You point one finger at a person, he points the fingers back at you. Beis vad yil iznus. The house where Chachamim gather together will be a place of znus. So the explanation is that Rashi explains that years ago the Bati Midrashim who learned the houses of study were outside of the town. They were in this place in the fields. So the Chachamim used to go there to learn. But before Nikvus Mashiach, it says the learning of Torah will become diminished. So the Chachamim are not going there. So instead, who uses a place? People that are interested in znus. It's a place outside of the city. It's appropriate place for sinning. Another more is maybe different, maybe it's more straightforward. You might say interpretation is that the place where people get together. What are people going to get together for znus? V'agolu yachrav, the golu will be destroyed. V'agavlan nishem, gavlan is different. In the first and discuss where exactly it is. Different places of Eretz Yisrael. I discuss it might be called Gavlan, that will be desolate. People living on the borders will be wandering, going around from city to city. No one will pay them, have any mercy on them. Remember when, like Gush Katif, when they were thrown out of the houses and they found no settlement, people were quoting this mission over here. The wisdom of the scribes will become smelly, which means literally that people will despise the wisdom of the sages. So people will despise people that are afraid of sin. Truth will be ne'ederes. Literally means it will be lacking. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says that this means that truth will be Nasis adorim b'ilechasla. It turns into groups and groups. Adorim means herds. Eider, groups of flock are called adorim. The truth will turn into herds and will be gone. What does that mean? So the Maharsha explains that the Chachamim will have to hide. They'll have to go out of the city. They won't be able. People won't want them to be. They won't be able to whatever do what they need to do in the city. They're going to go into the desert. They'll leave. They'll do whatever the learning advice was outside. There's another pshat, a more modern day interpretation, when you had that, when they started what was called maflegot, different parties. Everyone said, I have the truth. So once the truth becomes becomes based on which party you belong to, and each party says, only if you join me, you have the truth. That's the biggest opposition to truth. So you can have people that mean very well, but once it becomes, it's my group, this is the way it is. If you want to hear the truth and nothing but the truth, it's my group of people. It's this form of whatever it might be, this form of life, this form of Yiddish. So then, once it becomes Adarim, the different groups, the whole truth is gone. Na'orim pneis kenim yalbinu, children will make white. They'll shame the face of elders. The elders will stand up because of young. They'll be afraid, though they're going to have to show respect to the young in order to get, to be able to survive. Then menavel of the son will be menavel, make dirty, treat in a very disgusting way his father. Bas kamavima, a daughter is standing up against her mother. Kala b'chamoisai, mother-in-law, a daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. Oyeveish anshe beisai, the enemies of a person are the people of his own household. Pnei hador ki pnei hakel, the face of the generation like the face of the door. What does that mean? There's many interpretations here. Some of the more simple interpretations is dogs are chutzpah. Yeah. Another thing is dogs are also kamtsonim. They're very cheap, have. They want everything for themselves. So the leaders of the generation will be azeponim, will be chutzpah. They'll be the mid of kamtsonis of not wanting to give to the people of the generation that they're the leaders of. There's other explanations here, the comparison to the dog. These are some of the simple ones. Haben einem is bayish of the son won't be embarrassing his father. Who do we have on him to rely on our Father in heaven? The famous word that what the last line that seems to be finishing in a positive note. Who do we have to rely on our Father in heaven? The famous word that this is also part of the signs of then before Mashiach. When we ask someone to do something, he says, only the Eibusher could help us. It's a lost cause.
Don't even try.
Don't even try. Now, there's a positive interpretation here. There's a few things that are the Rabbi mentioned in the Sichos a lot. A few things. You have the Ben Ish Chai and others, they discuss more just about every detail of the Mishnah. So first of all, everything as we know, like I mentioned last week, when Mashiach comes, there's negative things. Negative really contain a lot of positive. You have to reveal the positive. There's going to be good things and, happening as well. It could be a der shekol lechayev, a der shekol lezakim. Mashiach would come in a generation that's completely righteous or the opposite. So what's the positive explanation? So Chutzpah Yiskei. Chutzpah will be great. The Rebbe says, the truth is it's mentioned earlier already. The Rebbe says, what does this mean? It means before Mashiach comes, we have to use chutzpah in the positive sense. And here, chutzpah, there's two elements here of chutzpah that will be done before Mashiach comes. There's chutzpah bin adam lachavera and chutzpah bin adam lamokim. The chutzpah is both people, inner social relationships, as the Mishnah is discussing, the total breakdown of society, children and their parents and teachers and young and old. But there's also chutzpah klapi shmai. In the generation before Mashiach, people are going to be, speaking very negative terms about the Eibishter, about Yiddishkeit, about Torah mitzvahs. Chutzpah doesn't only mean chutzpah from one to a person to another person, but it means chutzpah against anything that stands for holiness, for Torah mitzvahs. So in the positive sense, that's also a negative thing. Yeah, but I'm saying, but in the positive, what it means is, the Rebbe says that you have to use the chutzpah in the positive sense. What means the chutzpah in the positive sense? That a person could sometimes say, mi ani o mo ani. Right? It's a famous word. So I want to say it's not a verbringen right now, but one of the ills that Rebbe said that we have in our generation is the famous word about the two Maimorei Chazal, the two pockets that a person has. One Maimor Chazal says, the whole world was created just for me. The other Maimor Chazal says, whatever we say, mi ani o mo ani, who I am, who am I, what am I? So when it comes to physical things, I need to have a nice house, I need to have the best thing, this, the best that. So for that, we usually take out a slip of paper that says that the whole world was created for me. When it comes to something spiritual, to add in Torah, mitzvahs, to do something to help the public, we say, mi ani o mo ani, who am I and what am I? Why don't we do the reverse? Why when it comes to Gashmi, we should say, who am I? The Taka need. The Gashmi is the best Gashmi. So when it comes to Ruchnis, we should say, the whole world was created for me, let me be involved. So we have the Rebbe said that one of the nisyonos of our generation is al yevish mipnei hamalikim, not to be embarrassed from people that are laugh at us. That means, it doesn't mean here the guy on the street. It could mean that means the person we're sitting next to in shul. The Rebbe Futafas once told someone that he should have in barichas. He said he shouldn't be embarrassed of the people sitting next to him in shul. That's that's what al yevish mipnei hamalikim means. So you have the Rebbe said the nisayon of our generation is al yevish mipnei hamalikim, not to be nispo from those people that laugh at us. So you became frum, you became holy. That's the walk and talk of this. How people don't feel comfortable to do anything beyond what they're doing before until now. But the Rebbe saw an interesting place. The Rebbe said that the malikim are not just the people outside of you. Within a person himself, there's that part of him that's being malik. There's that part of him that's telling him, who are you? All of a sudden there was kavarim, who are you to do this? You know what they did last night. No, you really are. You're going to be the one to give a shiur. You're going to be the one to go on with tzayim, to be, whatever it is. But the Rebbe says it's also part of al yevish mipnei hamalikim. Don't be embarrassed. So you need to have chutzpah. You need to have a little bit, obviously not in a negative way, but the Rebbe says you have to use out the varnish in the spol. You have in Sasaned and Afsadik Zayin, the Lashon here is not chutzpah yiskei, but it says ha'azus tirba. A little bit of a different Lashon. It sounds the same. Azus is like a az ponim, somebody that's a similar thing, but azus is also like az kanomer. Be as bold as a leopard. So the Ben Ish Chai says it's an avodas Hashem. It's a very powerful midah. I mean, it's right in the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch Chaim. It says you shouldn't be misposed, shouldn't be affected with what people say. So before Mashiach comes, this midah, in a positive sense, will be that people will do what's right. They wouldn't be afraid. People will laugh at them. They'll think that they're became holy. They lost the with it notion or whatever it is. But the Rebbe said, that's one nekuda, which the Rebbe more speaks with the end of this mission. But the word of Chutzpah Yiskid, the Rebbe says that Chutzpah Klapi Shmai is that we have to demand the Gula. You need to have a little bit of Chutzpah, so to say, even Lagabi David himself. So since it's already, Golos is taking so long, we have to demand the Gula. So that Chutzpah, like the Rebbe spoke in Parshas Eschan on Aleph, Moshe Rabbeinu, David told him to stop davening, to go into Eretz Yisrael. And the Rebbe said that the truth is that maybe Moshe Rabbeinu didn't stop. Because the Gemara says that when you're guest in someone's house, whatever the owner of the house tells you to do, you should listen. Besides one thing, if he tells you to get out, you shouldn't listen to him. So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe was telling Moshe Rabbeinu not to go into Eretz Yisrael. It's like the Balabas is telling you to say, go out. So Moshe Rabbeinu maybe didn't have to listen. So you have this musig of chutzpah. You have to be careful how you use this thing. It doesn't mean chutzpah you go against Shulchan Aruch, but it means chutzpah to demand from the Eibishter that we need Mashiach now. So the Reb Tzadok HaKohen actually he writes about this concept I saw. I also have to be careful not to misinterpret his words, but he discusses. We know the word the Ma'apilim. We know that after when the Yidden sinned with the Meraglim, the Eibishter made the decree they'll be stuck for 40 years in the desert. So the next morning, I had a group of Jews that said, "We made such a terrible mistake, so we want to correct our mistake. Let us go, and we're going to fight our way. We're not afraid of, now that we realize we made a mistake by being afraid of the giants. We're going to go, and we're going to fight. We'll be victorious. We'll break our way into Eretz Yisrael." So Moshe Rabbeinu said, says, this is not going to work. The Eibishter doesn't, the Aron is still here. The Eibishter doesn't give you his blessing for this. So, and they didn't listen. They went, and they were they were killed out. It's interesting. Rabbi Sholom learned the Nachshon ben Aminadab was one of the Ma'apilim. That's when Ma'apilim weren't simple people. They were great people. Anyway. So Rabbi Tzadok says that type of avoida, which is a little bit representing chutzpah klapi shmaya, chutzpah the Eibishter wasn't right for that time. But he says, but before Mashiach comes, again, you have to be careful how to apply this. Doesn't mean that we just take a bunch of guns and shoot everyone we see. But so there's this avoida in Bein Adam L'Amokim, between us and the Eibishter. So he says that avoida. He says at that time, v'hilei sislach. This won't be successful. But before Mashiach comes, he says it's demanded from the Yid, this taka that he should demand by the Eibishter. He shouldn't just sit and falek the hand, just accept Golos' status quo.
Well, the Rebbe said to the chief rabbis of Eretz Yisrael to psak on the Eibishter.
Yeah. The Rebbe spoke a lot about this. That's to be. But it's interesting that he mentions this, the same thing that Rebbe said about Moshe Rabbeinu. He brings he puts it in his words. He also says interesting thing. He says the Gemara Simsach in the beginning of Perek Shmini says when Mashiach will come, we'll call the Eibishter Ishi v'leitikri liyoid baili. What does this mean? So he says, the Gemara says, there's two expressions of how a wife calls her husband. One is a more, distant expression. One is a more close expression. It says, that now, in those days, the Kala used to first be in her father's house. Then she went with her husband. Her husband added a room or whatever in her father-in-law's house, in her husband's father's house. When she was in her house, she wasn't comfortable being open with her husband in front of everyone. When she went to her husband's house, so then behind closed doors, she could tell her husband whatever she wants. She's not so embarrassed to demand things, say things. So he says, in the time until Mashiach comes, the relation with the Eibishter, so to say, that we don't have the chutzpah to demand things from the Eibishter. When Mashiach will come, a relation with the Eibishter, so to say, will be much more open. L'mal Yusuf, be on a much higher level. But we completely married like a woman. She could demand things from her husband. So he says, now that we're approaching the times of Mashiach, But this is the spiritual, the positive element of Chutzpah Yiske, that Chutzpah is great in the sense that, we have to start being a little bit open and demanding Mashiach.
So, wir gaan zoeken, bevolgen, ja.
It's nicht that I'm not does it bringing Mashiach, yeah. But also, so he says that this is Taich, not mistaken, he says that this is Taich, Chutzpah Yiske. Chutzpah will become great. What does it mean it will become great? Great means it will, when you say it will become great, means that's when it will reach its true greatness. That's when its true mile will be revealed. So this type of chutzpah, the mal yusa, so to say, which represents so to say, more open relationship with the Eibusher, with the Yidden, will become great.
Justified.
Not justified. Though chutzpah now is a lowly thing, it's an ugly thing, but there's a positive. Again, you have to be very careful of it. If you don't, you can very easily twist this and turn this. We're talking about the person's tefillah to the Eibusher, not talking about a person, people say, no, I don't know, since the Eibusher doesn't mean Mashiach, I don't have to keep Torah mitzvahs, I'll be my chutzpah. Come on, you have to use a little bit of, you have to understand the context. But in other words, he's saying that this is the type chutzpah yaski. Fine. Now the rest, again, like I told you, man, it's based on different mefarshim, the yoiker yamir. The yoiker yamir, so he says, this is the sefer, the teaches, yoiker means preciousness. He says the preciousness of Torah will become, everyone will understand, Yamir will become great, everyone will appreciate the yoiker of Torah. Again, put it in a few other interpretations, this is more or less than a kudah.
Yamir is Lashon Yimirenu?
No, Yamir, you look in the Taisus Yom Tov over here, is a Lashon becoming great. It's also, first you have different interpretations what it means. But you also have in other places in the Gemara and Sanhedrin, the Lashon is Yoker Ya'avis. Yoker Ya'avis means that one of the explanations is that, if I'm not mistaken, that that even the person that's called Yoker, that's special, that's great, he himself will Ya'avis, he will become corrupt. Lashon evil is crooked. I think the Ben Ish Chai says a word in Sanhedrin that Yoiker Ya'avis, the Gaiva will become corrupt. People will look down at someone that has Gaiva. The generation will be so pure that Yoiker, Epsazatach. Hagefen Titem Pirya Vayayim B'Yoiker. The grapes will give its fruit. The grape is a mashal for Knesset Yisrael. Gefen Elo Yisrael. Right? We know in the Tanakh how many times didn't it compare to a vineyard. What does it mean? It'll give its fruit. The fruits refer to Torah mitzvahs. The Yidden will be doing their avodah. V'hayayim b'yoiker, wine refers to Torah Shebal Peh, or those that learn Chassidus, specifically refers to Pnimius HaTorah. The secrets of Torah, wine will be yoiker, will be precious. People will, appreciate it. U'malchus tehafich leminus. Malchus tehafich leminus, more or less, they keep it at the simple meaning that the nations of the world will, so to say, they'll all, leave religion, but this highlights the mile of Yidden, the only one that will be left connected to Eibusher is Yidden.
So Malchus goes on other nations.
Yeah. There'll be no rebuke. He doesn't teach the Pshat according to this is very simple. There'll be no need for rebuke. No need for rebuke. Beis Vad is Nus. Place that people gather to learn Torah will be this Nus. So the Ben Ish Chai gives two teachings. Nus, there's a word, one of the terms for besamim is nim, zinim rukachim. It means that that people will appreciate Torah. The znus either comes from the word hazana, like Rachav was Isha Zainam, in the beginning of Yeshua. So those are the soup shot, either from the word znus or from the Lashon Isha Zainam that she fed people. So the place of learning Torah will be a place that people will come to the Talmidei Chacham will be sustained from Torah. They'll have plenty of Torah. They'll be sustained from it in a way that it will be like smelly, good smelling incense, be well understood and very well appreciated. By Golul Yecharev, Golul, he gives two taichin. Golul, the Ben Ish Chai says, either comes from the word Golus, it means up as a pasuk, that Golus will be destroyed. Or Golul, he says, we know that on a tombstone, there's in halacha, there's a goylul and a doifik. Part of the tombstone is called a goylul, a doifik. So there won't be any death. So these, it's pshat, but it's interesting pshat. This will be missing. Gavlon Yishem. Gavlon, like I mentioned before, there's different interpretations of what it is. One interpretation is that it goes on Har Seir. The Targum and Har Seir is Tura de Gavloi. In other words, that the enemies of the Jews will be destroyed. The people on the boundary of the city will be draining from city to city, and they won't be. No one will have mercy on them. So it translates in a very interesting way. He says that what's the people on the boundary? He says there's the Satan, the Yetzer Hara has its messengers that they're called the people on the boundary. They're always trying to lurk for the people and try to get them to do an Aveda. So they're called the Anshe Gvul, like on the borders, between one level and the other level. They're trying to schlep people from Kedush and the Klippa. So he says the shluchim of the Yetzer Hara are going to try to get people to sin. They'll go from city to city. Each person is called a city, right? We know that after brings in Tanya Perek Tess also, the pasuk how right? A small city is a body. Will go from person to person, and no one will look on them. No one will want to sin. For Chochmei Seifrim Tisrach, the wisdom of the Seifrim, he says Tisrach could also mean the pasuk V'Serach Ha'odev, or expand. Doesn't have to be a negative thing. The wisdom will expand. Yirei Chet Moasu. Those that are afraid of sin will become despised. He says a powerful word. He says at that level of Yiras Chet is a very high level for us today. In that time, it's a very low level. What people are afraid of sin. Just don't sin. There's nothing to be afraid of sin in those days. If you're still at a level that you're afraid you're going to sin, so such a person will be despised, because the level that they are then, they'll be completely in control of themselves. They won't have to be afraid of sin. For Emes will be Nederes, will be groups of people studying the Torah, studying the truth. Whoever you want to learn the secrets of Torah, like I mentioned before, Nederes is Adorim. Norim Pneis Kenim Yalbino. This is something which the Rebbe said many times also, and mentioned in a number of other svarim, that the young will embarrass the elders. This means positively that the wisdom of the young, the Rebbe said that you see today how, in the negative, how people are embarrassing the elders. What the Rebbe says, a person could say that my grandmother didn't do this hidur. She didn't do this minig, that minig. The Rebbe says that from the side of Lumas, from Klippa, you have this concept people are not respecting parents, the grandparents use it out in the Tzad HaTev as well. Go even further than them in Torah mitzvahs. So the Adam days, Kenim Yalbino means they'll put to shame those that are older than them. Kenim Yamdu L'Pnei Ktanim, the elders will stand up from young, because the young ones in the time before Mashiach will be in a greater level than the elder ones. Ben Menavel of, someone put his father to shame. Again, this is all in the same context. It'll be Bas Kamabim. He says the interesting taich. A daughter will stand up for her mother. Kibbud Avayim is something that it's a whole lot of discussion. Allah, the parent, technically, children are obligated to stand up for the parents. Usually, we say the parents are merchant. As a daughter will stand up for her mother. Kala b'chamois, a daughter-in-law with the mother. Well, we know that a shviger is always the prime target of people that don't get along with their daughter-in-law. That's some shit before Mashiach will come. Kala b'chamois, a shviger with their daughter-in-law will get along perfectly. He doesn't touch. I guess maybe you could say in the similar vein I said before. We said Pnei Hader Pnei Hakelav. It says interesting touch. As a kelav, the dog is kulei leiv, completely apart. Chassidus speaks about this a little bit also, but he says the dog is completely dedicated to its master. A dog would give up its own life for its master. He says when Mashiach will come, every yid will have this complete connection with the Eibishter. The Rebbe said in the Sikha, the Rebbe says a different shot. The Rebbe says, Pnei Hader Pnei Hakelav, that a dog is very hungry. A dog is one of the things besides being chutzpah, but a dog is an example of the mother says Roiv Kikelav, he's very hungry. So when Mashiach will come, the hunger to learn Torah will be like a dog. Everyone will want to learn the secrets of Torah. Haben einem ispayish miyav, the son will be embarrassed from his father. Ben Ishchai says a very nice word. He says today you could have the father is a who knows what, and the son is a Talmid Chacham, so the son is embarrassed from his father. But Rikus Mashiach, everyone will be on a high level. No son will be embarrassed from his father. Who do we have to rely on our Father in heaven? It doesn't touch up, but I guess this is also, you could touch Lamal Yusa also. It's Midas HaBitachon, right? relying on the Eibishter. Okay, ad kan. It took me more time than I wanted to.
You could also take
But no, I'm saying, in other words, they usually take it as a negative thing. But fine. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it with this.
Pasha touches this the Chosenu. So it's the
Huh?
Chama is the Eibishter listen. They go rely on the Eibishter. So it said, hey, it's like that's not into the whole content. So you say, that's also.
But it's just the Nekudas, how the bottom is, where the Rebbe places it at least, is that all these negative things have, at least like the scholar get discussed, that there's different ways of understanding it, but all these negative things have potential for good. In other words, like the Rebbe said, when you see these negative things in the world, the lesson is that in the Yid's Avodah, he should bring out the positive qualities here. Yeah, fine. We should have Mashiach now.